Good morning, chess friends. Good to having you back. It's time now for the second part of our lesson, War for Territory, the battle for the center. So in the first part of our lesson, we've explained how important it is for you guys to develop your pieces as quickly as you can and to castle your king. Now I'm going to show you with a small fragment of what might happen when one of the two players simply ignores to aiming its pieces development towards the middle of the board. So let's see what are the consequences. Just a kind reminder to like and subscribe to the channel if you find all this information helpful and to support my activity here. Okay, sharing the screen now. Righty, so let's assume we're having the whites in this position. So we open naturally and normally with a move like e4. Very good and very popular. Right, now our opponent chooses to play a6. Now that's from the very start a thing I completely do not recommend to my students, to my chess friends. Obviously, there could be some super GMs at some point that tried it and they had success. Like, for instance, I think this is called the St. George's Defense, and it was played in the 19th century for the first time. And I think in more recent times, in the 1980s, I think an English GM, Tony Miles, had success with this opening, with his defense against the player at that time. I think it was Karpov. Right. So, anyways, I think for people that just start studying chess, a6 is not really the best choice in the opening. Now, let's just continue. If black allows us, we'll just be playing the other pawn 2 steps forwards. And now look at this beautiful dominance in the center that we're having with those 2 middle pawns. Now, continuously, black defies the golden rules of the opening, and they reply with h6, another not very fortunate move, and I do not recommend it. Okay, now we naturally keep up with the development of our pieces. Knight f3. Already white is very solid in the middle of the board. Now look at this. The position is really quite limited. The space is very limited, and even if black now attempts to play a knight, this is another unfortunate move. Instead of playing one of the middle pawns, they've played a knight, and here come the consequences. d5. Okay, so now the poor black knight either goes back on b8, which is quite frustrating because you've already played that knight, or it goes to a7. Again, a little bit frustrating here, right? Because anything else they chooses to play, it is losing now. The knight to b4, the knight to a5, the knight to d4, they all lose the knight. Doesn't really matter, it's gonna be bad. You're gonna play b4 and they have no way of retreating. Even if they try to create a space on b7, you will be taking the knight. So that really doesn't look very good. And what does white do here? Simply keeps up with the development. You may do a couple of good moves here. Bishop e3, bishop e2. Let's just say bishop e2. And again, if your opponent does not do anything to pushing the middle pawns and they just play the knights, again, it's not going to be very good. You keep attacking, keep taking space from them. Look at how much space you've taken from your opponent. Now the black knight has to move again. Where to go? Again, the safest bet would be for them to go back on g8, to play on h7, or to venture more in the middle of the board here. But again, quite not pleasant for them, because knight to e4, for instance, will be met with queen to d4, and that's not very good. Even if they try to go on g5, you're gonna take h takes on g5 and pawn recaptures. The position is crushingly in your favor, because if your opponent doesn't play the middle pawns and just pushes the a and h pawns, it really the prospects for their future development don't look very bright. So boys and girls, you could see now how important it is really to pushing the queen and the king pawn in the opening, play your bishops, and develop your knights towards the center of the board. And you should be absolutely fine for the first part of the game, as long as you don't forget to castle your king. Okay, so from next lessons we'll be start to discussing more endings, more tactics, and we'll tackle our first openings. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Have a wonderful day.